Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our major stories. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives divided over deduction of $1 billion from the excess crude account to fight Boko Haram insurgency. Federal and state governments move to douse tension in Benue and other troubled states, sets up committee to meet with Miyetti Allah and other groups to arrest the crisis. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo formally becomes a member of the Coalition for Nigeria movement, says the action is for the love of country. And about 950 workers trapped on the ground at a South African gold mine. For more on our top stories and others, just go to our website. It's channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. And there's more. The Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature with which you can share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. It appears the newly formed pressure group known as Coalition for Nigeria movement is beginning to gain momentum. This is because the former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, has formally registered as a member of the coalition in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. He also expressed his vision for a better Nigeria built on good governance.
It's a means to an end. The end is Nigeria unshackled, united, dynamic, strong, secure, cohesive, stable, and prosperous at home and respected outside. And as a result, able to play a decisive role assertively within the Community of Nations. A Nigeria of hope, aspiration and assurances, which belongs to all, with no sacred cow nor sacrificial lamb, is what we want. My Nigeria, your Nigeria, and our Nigeria, with enchanting present and secure and glorious future.
You may have heard conversations about the reasons why Nigeria has not moved at the pace it should. Perhaps the issue of leadership has come up over and over again as a major challenge the nation is faced with. In this next report, our political correspondent, Seun Okinbaloye, raises some of the issues relating to leadership and Nigeria's development. We'll have that report in a moment, but to take a further look at the issue of leadership challenge in Nigeria and the way forward, I'm being joined live from our Abuja studios by a former chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Mr. Yunusa Tanko. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
First, there's a red card campaign asking Nigerians to rule out the possibility of returning either the two main political parties, that's PDP and APC, to power due to poor performance. Then, former President Olusegun Obasanjo is now leading a campaign for an alternative to both parties. Is it right to say that Nigeria has a crisis of leadership?
Oh, not only would you say crisis of leadership, you will say that probably the leaders that have had the opportunity of leading this country have failed to perform to optimal level. Let me just go to the words of Susan Ward, who defined leadership as an art of motivating individuals or groups to act in a certain way towards achieving a common goal. And also, Peter Drucker also defined leadership as a behavior that seemed to change the attitude of individuals or groups towards attaining certain results. Now, in my own definition, I've been able to identify that leadership is an capacity and an ability of an individual to be able to identify the interests of different individuals and groups, collapsing it into his own, making it a one collective interest. But now the question is, have we, probably our past leaders who have led this country, been able to achieve this particular definition? Definitely, it leaves a lot to be desired. Some will even say capital no. And I give you a chronological order of some of our leaders who have led this country. Awolowo was 37. Akintola was 36. While Balewa was 36. Gowon was 32. He is 32 at the time. And Abacha was 23. Obasanjo was 29. Yar'Adua was 23. And at the same time, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Muhammadu Buhari, was 24. All of these are leaders. Some of them have had opportunity of leading this country maybe twice. Now, some of them are still in the corridors of power. And the question you want to ask is that, why is it that some of these leaders have not been able to take care of some of these problems that we have over the years? And I can tell you, Nigerians are not gullible. What they need is just simple things. What do they want? Good roads, electricity, health, security, employment for their children, education. These are simple things. And we're still searching to find solutions to this particular problem. No wonder Ali Mazuri, of blessed memory, said while other developing countries are trying to get their way to the moon, our own African countries were still searching to get to our villages. Now, up till now, some of our villages you cannot even get to the particular villages. You cannot even get common water to drink. Now, would we say that these particular leaders have done good to this country? Believe me, yes, there might be some exceptional cases. Maybe if the time permits, you may give me room to elucidate and amplify on those particular, some of the exceptional cases. But the fact still remains that our leaders who have led this country were not able to collectively think of leading this country towards a common goal. And it's unfortunate, very, very painful, and we think it's time for these leaders who have led this country to shift what we call paradigm shift, so that they can shift. We, the younger ones, we can provide them with employment benefits so that they can go back to their farms and their houses and let us give in Nigeria a new hope. Because as we are today, it's so painful that things are not moving in the right direction.
Mr. Tanko, if I may come in, you're saying that age has everything to do with good leadership. But a lot of people will beg to differ. Some young people have been in a position of power and yet they did not perform optimally.
Okay, when you look at age in this particular respect, is that most of these particular leaders, age has limited their activities from performing. Thinking capacity is slowing down. The ability to act as fast, as quickly as possible is not there. They are not thinking digital. They are thinking in an analog form. So it doesn't give room for them to be able to act fastly as necessary. They cannot even move from an action place where certain things are happening. They rather send proxies or some other individual. And that is not good. They are not communicating with the people. In fact, the painful aspect is that leadership in Nigeria has left the people. They are only thinking. They only think that they have something to give to the people, not what the people want. In other words, what they are doing is that they only think sometimes with their heart, not with their heart. By so, what I mean by this is that anytime you see a leader, if he's a Hausa man, he is expected to protect the interests of the Hausaris. If he's a Yoruba man, he's expected to protect the interests of the Yoruba people. If he's an Igbo man, he will be interested in protecting the interests of the Igbo people. What about the interests of the collective people? And the question you want to ask yourself is this. Poverty does not know tribe or religion. A poor man in the north is the same poor man in the south. A poor man in the west is the same poor man in the east. And in fact, by simple definition of poverty, what it simply says is that when you cannot have the ability of taking care of you, when your pleasure is in the hands of another person, you are a poor man. So every Nigerian needs just simple things. And these leaders have not been able to give it to us. And that is why it is high time for them to go back and see. They are busy now antagonizing each other. When they had the opportunity of leading this country, what did they do?
Thank you so much, Mr. Tanko Yunusa. That's all we can take at the moment. He is the former chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Now let's cross over to our Abuja studios, where Linda is standing by with more stories.
Hello, Melinda. Now we return once more to the Senate, where lawmakers say questions surrounding their capacity to reject the appointment of the president of Mr. Ibrahim Magu as EFCC chairman has been answered. The declaration by the upper chamber follows the ruling by a federal high court that the Senate is conferred with the authority to ensure the choice of only suitable and credible persons for appointment to the office. Ruling in the suit filed by a legal practitioner, Mr. Oluwatosin Ojamu, the court had held that the Senate does not exist to rubber stamp the president's appointments. Senate spokesperson Sabi Abdullahi says the affirmation of the Senate's authority is a tone setter for appointments to come.
For those who have been worried about the fact that the MPC never met, I think this is a window for the MPC to see the light in meeting. If the executive does the needful, provide another Nigerian, so it's our hope and prayers that our amiable president will definitely find this judgment in order and will be submitting very, very soon another nominee to carry on with the good work of anti-corruption, especially now that we are very proud of him as the AU anti-corruption crusader.
Politics is about service. That's the reminder to the emerging generation of politicians who have been asked to ensure that they establish themselves with distinction in other fields of endeavor before seeking political office. This piece of advice was offered at the commendation service for the former Vice President, late Dr. Alex Ekweme, in Awka, the Anambra State capital. Speakers at the event described it as the principle of having a second address, a hallmark of Dr. Ekweme's career.
The body of Nigeria's first elected vice president, Dr. Alexander Ifeanyichukwu Ekweme, arrives at the public square in Awka, named after him. Dr. Ekweme's casket is conveyed in a horse-drawn carriage accompanied by a police guard of honor to a specially prepared tent for the commendation service organized by the Anambra State government.
Carrying the remains to lay in state.
In a magnificently adorned arena, dignitaries from all over the country, including friends, associates, colleagues, politicians led by the Anambra State Governor, Willie Obiano, all converged to pay their last respects. In his homily, the Anglican Bishop of Awka Diocese reminds the congregation on the need to live a life of impact with eternity in mind.
The unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic acts, the idolaters and all liars, their place will be in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. This is the word of the Lord.
Afterwards, encomiums are heaped on the late Dr. Ekweme by politicians and statesmen who benefited from his wealth of experience.
Nai Ekweme left us a proud heritage. So rather than grieve and mourn over his passage, I urge you all to celebrate the life and times of a man who came clearly ahead of his time and did his very best to make Nigeria a better place for everyone.
Former Senate President Senator Ken Nnamani draws from Dr. Ekweme's life the principle of gathering experience in public or private service before venturing into politics, which is about service delivery.
He had demonstrated that politics is service and not a place to amass wealth as such.
Indeed, the accolades are rounded off with a booming of guns and a final parade as Dr. Ekweme's body makes its final exit from Awka, bound for his hometown, Oko, where he will be eventually laid to rest.
When the News at 10 returns, President Buhari nominates Edward Adamu as second deputy governor of the central bank. That's some business news. Please join us again.